In the heart of a moonless night, the lone figure of a trucker named Jake maneuvered his massive rig along a desolate stretch of highway. The rain pounded relentlessly on the windshield, creating an almost hypnotic rhythm that merged with the monotonous hum of the engine. Miles of empty road stretched ahead, and the distant glow of the dashboard lights seemed to be his only company. As Jake continued his journey, a strange static crackled to life on his CB radio. The familiar voice of his friend and fellow trucker, Bill, echoed through the speakers. "Jake, you out there, buddy?" "Yeah, Bill, I'm here," Jake replied, adjusting his grip on the steering wheel. "What's up?" A tense pause followed, and then Bill's voice returned, more hushed this time. "Listen carefully, Jake. There's something you need to know about this stretch of highway. They say it's haunted by a phantom truck." Jake chuckled, assuming Bill was playing a prank. "Come on, Bill, you're not trying to scare me, are you?" "I wish I was, Jake," Bill said solemnly. "People say they've seen a truck materialize out of thin air, driving recklessly before vanishing again. They call it the Wraith of the Road." Jake's skepticism wavered as he glanced at his side mirror, half expecting to see the phantom truck. "You're pulling my leg, Bill. There's no such thing as ghosts. Just be careful, Jake. Keep an eye out and stay safe," Bill warned before the radio fell silent. Shaking his head, Jake focused on the road ahead. But a strange feeling gnawed at him, as if the darkness itself was watching. Hours passed, and the rain showed no sign of letting up. Suddenly, a static-filled voice pierced through the CB radio again, sending a shiver down Jake's spine. "Trucker, beware. The Wraith is near," the voice crackled before fading away. Jake's heart raced as he glanced at his side mirror once more, his breath hitching at the sight of headlights in the distance. They seemed to appear out of thin air, cutting through the darkness like two luminous eyes. The phantom truck materialized, a spectral rig with a flickering outline, speeding down the road with reckless abandon. Panicking, Jake clenched the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white. He floored the accelerator, hoping to outpace the spectral truck, but it remained hot on his tail. The rain-soaked road turned treacherous, and the eerie whispers of the radio grew louder, warning him of impending doom. In a desperate bid to escape, Jake swerved onto an off-ramp, his rig skidding as he fought to regain control. He glanced in his side mirror, expecting the phantom truck to follow, but it was nowhere to be seen. The rain continued to fall, heavy and unforgiving, as if washing away the apparition's trace. Shaken but relieved, Jake pulled into an isolated rest stop, seeking refuge from the storm. As he stepped out of the truck, his footsteps echoed through the eerie silence. The rest stop seemed frozen in time, abandoned and forgotten. The dim glow of the neon sign revealed a battered diner. Torn between unease and exhaustion, Jake entered the diner, the creaking door announcing his arrival. The interior was eerily pristine, frozen in a bygone era. He approached the counter, his heart pounding as he rang the bell for service. A door swung open at the back of the diner, revealing a figure dressed in an outdated uniform. The old man's eyes seemed vacant, lost in memories of a time long past. He shuffled toward Jake, his voice a ghostly whisper. "Evenin', stranger. You're not from around here, are ya?" Jake hesitated, feeling the weight of the man's gaze. "No, just passing through. Storm's too fierce to keep driving." The old man's lips curved into a feeble smile. "Storms have a way of bringing folks together, and sometimes, taking them away." Unease settled over Jake once more, as if he'd stumbled upon a secret he was never meant to uncover. As he sat at a booth, he noticed an old newspaper on the table, its yellowed pages telling a grim tale of a trucker who had met a tragic end on this very stretch of highway. The accompanying photo showed a spectral rig with flickering headlights, unmistakably the Wraith. Fear gripped Jake's heart as he realized the horrifying truth: the phantom truck was real, and its curse lingered in this place. With each passing moment, the diner seemed to shift and change, as if caught in a time loop. The old man returned, his voice a haunting murmur. "You're trapped, just like all the others who've come before," he whispered, his eyes vacant yet piercing. Jake's mind raced, his thoughts a cacophony of terror. He was reliving the same events over and over, each loop ending in a gruesome demise at the hands of the Wraith. Determined to break free, he scoured the diner for clues, discovering a faded journal tucked away in a forgotten corner. As he flipped through its pages, the truth unfolded before him. The diner's owner had summoned dark forces to gain eternal life, but had unwittingly tethered himself to the Wraith's curse. Jake realized he needed to break the cycle by confronting the phantom truck and setting the restless spirit free. With newfound determination, Jake returned to his rig and sped back onto the haunted highway. The rain was relentless, the thunder a symphony of chaos. He reached the spot where the Wraith had first appeared, his pulse racing as he awaited its arrival. The phantom truck materialized once more, its spectral form shimmering in the storm. Jake clenched his fists, channeling his resolve as he shouted, "I know your story. I won't let this curse continue." The air crackled with energy, and the Wraith's headlights flickered wildly. A haunting cry echoed through the night, mingling with the storm's fury. Suddenly, the spectral rig began to dissolve, its form disintegrating into the rain. As the last traces of the Wraith vanished, the storm subsided, leaving behind a sense of peace that had eluded this stretch of highway for years. Jake's rig rumbled to life, and he continued his journey, the memory of his harrowing ordeal etched into his very being. From that night on, the highway remained clear of the phantom truck's curse. And while truckers would still share tales of the Wraith around campfires, none would dare venture onto that road without recalling the bravery of the trucker who faced the darkness and emerged victorious. In the heart of the night, beneath a tapestry of stars, a lone trucker named Jack navigated his rig down an ancient, desolate highway. The road seemed to stretch endlessly ahead, disappearing into the darkness. Jack's knuckles whitened as his grip tightened on the wheel, his CB radio emitting nothing but static. A sense of unease settled in as he felt the weight of isolation. As the miles rolled on, Jack noticed peculiar signs of abandonment, towns reduced to shadows, forgotten gas stations, and silent rest stops. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was venturing into a world beyond the living. His rig's headlights carved through the night, revealing glimpses of a landscape that seemed to shift, trees and shadows warping as if watching him. On the CB radio, a faint voice crackled to life, barely audible amidst the static. "Beware, the midnight road," it hissed before disappearing. Jack's heart raced, his pulse echoing in his ears. He tried to shake off the unease, blaming it on fatigue. But the whispers persisted, growing louder as the miles passed. In hushed tones, the voices warned of a phantom truck, black as midnight, that haunted this very stretch of road. Legend had it that anyone who glimpsed the spectral rig would vanish forever, their soul trapped in a cursed existence. Determined to prove the whispers wrong, Jack pressed on. Yet, as the night deepened, he caught fleeting glances of a shape in his side mirror, a shadowy truck that seemed to materialize and vanish with each heartbeat. Panic surged within him, and he pushed his rig to its limits, the highway's eerie surroundings seemingly closing in around him. The voices on the radio grew frantic, imploring him to turn back. But Jack's stubbornness fueled his resolve. He wouldn't be intimidated by mere stories. The midnight air grew thick with tension as the spectral truck appeared closer and more frequently. Its headlights glowed with an ethereal light, casting an unnatural pallor on everything it touched. Jack's fear escalated, and he made a desperate decision: he would confront this apparition head-on. His rig sped towards the phantom truck, tires screeching. Just as the two vehicles were about to collide, the world around Jack twisted and warped. Reality itself seemed to tear apart, and he found himself in a place that defied comprehension, an otherworldly realm where time and space had no meaning. In this twisted reality, Jack encountered echoes of souls trapped by the curse of the midnight road. They whispered stories of lost hopes, unsolved mysteries, and lives cut short. He realized that the curse was a result of unresolved regrets and vengeful spirits seeking release. Guided by the tortured echoes, Jack unearthed the history of the phantom trucker. A trucker who had been betrayed by his partner, left to perish on this very road. The curse had woven itself into the fabric of reality, ensnaring any who dared to cross its path. Armed with newfound knowledge, Jack made a pact with the trapped souls. He vowed to seek out the remains of the betrayed trucker and offer closure. The Midnight Realm began to tremble as he pieced together the past, forcing the curse to confront its own origins. As the curse unraveled, the spectral trucker was finally set free, his truck vanishing in a burst of light. The otherworldly realm crumbled, and Jack found himself back on the familiar highway, the dawn's light breaking through the horizon. With the curse lifted, the whispers on the CB radio faded into silence. The desolate highway that had once been a realm of nightmares was now a path of redemption. Jack continued his journey, forever changed by his encounter with the otherworldly. And though he never spoke of his experience to anyone, the legends of the Midnight Road persisted, whispered among truckers who knew to listen for the stories hidden within the dark. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the deserted highway that cut through the heart of nowhere. Jack, a weathered trucker with years of experience under his belt, gripped the steering wheel of his rig as rain poured down in torrents. The windshield wipers struggled to keep up, and the radio crackled with static. Jack's knuckles turned white as he navigated the treacherous road, his eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of life. As the miles ticked by, Jack's thoughts drifted to his wife and daughter waiting for him at home. He longed for the warmth of his family after days on the road. Suddenly, a voice crackled through the CB radio, startling him. "Breaker 1 to 9, this is Ghost Rider. Y'all out there?" Jack hesitated before picking up the mic. "Yeah, Ghost Rider, this is Old Timer. What's going on out there?" Static filled the airwaves for a moment before Ghost Rider's voice returned, tinged with urgency. "You best watch your back, Old Timer. There's a phantom rig on this highway. Seen it myself." Jack chuckled nervously. "Phantom rig? Come on now, you're pulling my leg." But Ghost Rider's tone remained serious. "I ain't joking, Old Timer. It appears out of thin air, then disappears just as quick. No driver, no lights. Just a dark shadow on the road." Jack's skepticism was overshadowed by a growing sense of unease. The rain continued to pour, obscuring his view. The radio crackled once again. "Old Timer, you still there? I'm telling you, it's real. And it ain't just the rig. It whispers to you." Jack's heart raced as he glanced at his side mirror. There, in the distance, he caught a fleeting glimpse of a massive truck, its lights flickering like dying embers. His breath caught in his throat as the radio filled with hushed, eerie whispers that seemed to come from all around him. He strained to make out the words, feeling a cold sweat prickle his skin. The whispers grew more urgent, a cacophony of voices that seemed to penetrate his very soul. Jack's grip on the wheel tightened, his knuckles turning white as his rig accelerated involuntarily. Panic surged through him as the phantom truck drew closer, its monstrous form casting a shadow over his cab. Jack's heart pounded as he fought to regain control of his rig. The whispers grew louder, a symphony of terror that filled the air. With a desperate maneuver, he veered onto the shoulder, narrowly avoiding a collision with the phantom truck. But it wasn't over yet. As he continued down the rain-soaked highway, Jack couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The whispers followed him, taunting him with their unintelligible messages. He needed answers, and he needed them fast. A quick search on his phone revealed a local legend about a tragic accident that had occurred years ago on this very stretch of road, involving a trucker who had lost his life in a fiery crash. With a sinking feeling, Jack realized that he was facing more than just a ghostly apparition. He was dealing with a vengeful spirit, a soul trapped between realms, seeking retribution for the injustices of the past. The phantom truck had become a vessel for its wrath. Determined to put an end to the nightmare, Jack pulled off the highway at the next exit, following a trail of clues that led him to an old, abandoned truck stop. The rain continued to pour, masking his footsteps as he entered the derelict building. Inside, he discovered faded photographs and newspaper clippings, chronicling the tragic accident that had claimed the life of a trucker named Sam. As he pieced together the story, a chilling realization washed over him. Sam's spirit was trapped, his anger and pain fueling the malevolent force that haunted the highway. Jack knew what he had to do. With a determined resolve, he returned to his rig and drove back onto the highway, his eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. The phantom truck materialized once more, its presence sending shivers down Jack's spine. But this time, he was ready. With the knowledge he had gained, he called out to Sam's spirit, his voice carrying over the radio waves. "Sam, I know you're out there. I know what happened to you, and I'm sorry. It's time to let go." For a moment, everything stood still. Then, the whispers faded, replaced by a mournful silence. The phantom truck's lights flickered one last time before vanishing into the night. Jack's heart raced as he watched it disappear, his chest heaving with relief. As dawn broke on the horizon, Jack knew that he had faced something beyond the ordinary. He had confronted the past, appeased a tormented spirit, and found a newfound appreciation for the thin line between life and death. With a sense of closure, he continued his journey home, his rig cutting through the mist as the highway stretched ahead, a path haunted by memories but no longer by vengeful specters.